All right, this is me and Avram.
Hello.
All right, Avram, tell us what kind of Judaism are you practicing?
So I got raised secular, but I got a lot more religious coming here, starting to go to Chabad. The Chabad synagogue here is actually really good, and it kind of gave me an opening to religion, to getting more into my faith. So I'd say right now I'm somewhere around conservative or reform, but I'm on my journey to becoming modern Orthodox. So it's kind of where I'm at, but drawing a lot of ethos from the Chabad kind of range of religiosity.
How's that transition from conservative to Orthodox going?
So far going well. The thing that's been great about Chabad is it's offered, a really high ceiling without any, peer pressure to get there. It's kind of just like, we're going to give you all the resources you need to go wherever you want to go. So it's been a really easy in terms of kind of, I guess, getting into it. It's definitely been a lot of personal work and a lot of turmoil, a lot of struggle, but it's good, and it's been a good resource to have here.
Okay, cool. Then more on the cultural side of Judaism, what does that kind of look like for you in college, here in College Station, which is definitely not a predominantly Jewish area?
Yeah, so, obviously in America, the majority of the culture is kind of Judeo-Christian. A lot of the legal structure and general morals and ethics here are Judeo-Christian. So I wouldn't say there's a huge difference. And I think really there's more differences that I have from people from another state than I have from Christians from here. So, and even other religions that just grew up in Texas. So for me, I think the culture isn't terribly different. Obviously there's theocratic differences, but yeah, no, the culture is pretty similar, and I don't feel very, very different from pretty much anybody else on campus.
That's good. What do you mean by the theocratic differences? What are some that you see?
So obviously there's theological differences between Judaism and Christianity and Islam or Hinduism or things like that. So mostly just that. But in terms of ethics, morals, how people treat other people, general, just, culture, things like that, it's all very similar.
Yeah. Well, I identify as like a Christian. What do you think are the biggest differences between the faith of Judaism and Christianity?
So in Judaism specifically, I guess the biggest difference would be, and obviously this comes a little bit as a surprise for a lot of people, we don't have necessarily a conception of hell, at least not in the same conception that is in Christianity. In Judaism, we believe that everybody goes to what we call Gehenna, which is, its best translation is hell. But for us, it's more of a spiritual washing machine, because we believe that souls are sent down to the earth with a purpose. And the perspective on that is we are souls that are put into bodies rather than bodies that are given souls. And so when our souls die, go back up to heaven, obviously, down on this earth, it's not a perfect place, obviously involved in a good deal of sin over time. There's stuff that needs to be cleansed and everything, so it can become just properly holy. And so I guess that's one of the biggest differences, is we don't believe, I guess, in a binary heaven or hell. We believe everyone goes to hell for a little bit of time for whatever they did here, regardless. You can be the most, holy person. You, like, the only bad thing you did is you said gossip, like, once in your life. You still go to hell. Same as the person that, probably was a drug lord his whole life, right? Like, so for us, that puts into perspective, 100% like your focus is what you do in this world. And so there's nothing realistically you can do to, like, get into heaven or get into hell. It's more so like, this is the law, and it's your objective to follow it, and that's,
Yeah, that's what's up. So growing up, what was the culture kind of like in your house? Did your mom make like Jewish foods? Did you celebrate Hanukkah?
So
How was your bar mitzvah?
my bar mitzvah actually was pretty cool. I went to Israel for a while, and it was so awesome to see kind of the culture there. And then we went to my family and I went to like the Bedouin encampments, kind of on the outskirts of Israel. Those were absolutely spectacular. It's so cool to see like the people keeping their culture from like hundreds of years ago. They're still living, like obviously they have phones, Wi-Fi, whatever, but they still live in like tents. They still do communal like cooking and everything, and it's so cool to see that culture. That was awesome. Best coffee, best food I think I've ever had in my life there. But it's cool because especially in Texas, like my mom's parents live in Florida.
Yeah.
We drive there sometimes. Half the drive is just in Texas.
Yeah.
And in Israel, it's a 4-hour drive. From the longest drive you can make from point to point in Israel is 4 hours.
Yeah.
And here it's like you could be in one city that whole time. So honestly, the biggest cultural shift was like a city being a neighborhood from here.
Yeah.
And it's like the culture shifts entirely from like a few miles over. And here it's like you can go a few miles and you don't see any difference.
Yeah.
So that was the biggest culture shock. But I mean, I grew up. My mom's parents are from Argentina, so kind of they weren't able to practice religion at all. That side from Poland, same thing. But I grew up with like you're a Jew. Like that's bottom line, you're Jewish, regardless of how much you keep it. You're Jewish.
Yeah.
And that's kind of a very big thing in Judaism culturally is that. So we grew up, we went to an Orthodox synagogue for a bit when I was younger, and we didn't like it because it was just stuffy and everybody was pressuring you because you didn't keep this or you didn't keep that, so you weren't, on the highest social tiers. You're like, we're not about that.
Yeah.
So we went to a Reform synagogue, and then kind of the flip side happened. Rabbi got political, and we were like, okay, we're not here for that. So then we just opted to do everything at home. So we did Sabbath dinner at home. Every week we lit candles, did wine, bread, all that. We did holidays at home as much as we could. And then when I started coming here, I started going to the Chabad synagogue. So like, let me try this thing out. It was really good. I fell in love with it like immediately.
Let's go.
And kind of brought that home. So my parents have started going to the Chabad synagogue in Sugar Land. They've been loving that and kind of getting more into that and getting more into the holidays that they can, going to that synagogue and participating in them there.
Yeah.
So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
So when I went to the bar mitzvah, it was like they were some really wealthy. It was a wealthy family.
Yeah.
And they had it at some like super cool place in Houston. We were like dancing and stuff. Mm-hmm. It's pretty cool. And then like, what is it called when you go and read like the Torah or whatever?
Yeah.
You go like read the Torah in Hebrew.
Yeah. Actually, I'm blanking out on what specifically that's called. But yeah, no. A lot of bar mitzvahs in the States are like a bunch of rich people, and it's just some huge party. And I am very much not a party person. My parents are very much like, nah, we're not about that. So we just like took my grandparents and we went to Israel and like did a nice, family gathering.
So that was your bar mitzvah?
Yeah.
In Israel. Okay, cool.
So
that is cool. I had a chance to go to Israel with my church senior year. I didn't end up going, but all my friends went, and it was super cool. Like, just going to see it and like just it being like the holy place.
Yeah,
pretty cool. And they say like the same thing with like the cultures of traps, kind of.
Yeah,
and it's pretty cool. So, have you ever felt like discrimination being Jewish in College Station or Texas?
In Texas, honestly, no. Like I've faced some fair share of anti-Semitism, but nothing real, nothing physical. Nobody coming up and screaming at me. Just random things online. I had a fallout with a friend because he went down a very deep internet rabbit hole, and that was not great for him. But the anti-Semitism was a very small part of that iceberg. So that was like the only instance of real anti-Semitism I ever experienced, and that was over text and done. So and then especially at A&M, and I think in no small part due to the huge Christian population here, which I pretty much every other Jew are very thankful for. It's a great campus to be a Jew. It's really surprising that the Jewish population here is so small. And the question that I get a lot of times, because I have an A&M yarmulke, is like, isn't it that like people are like, isn't A&M anti-Semitic? Like with all the restrictions there, like they have no idea that that's the reason that A&M is the best campus to be a Jew is because of that. So Texas has been great to be a Jew, and Texas A&M has been even better.
Come on. Okay. All right, well, that's it.